Hello, good evening, good afternoon, how are we all doing? We have a new video today. We're in the AMX 1390, the newly appointed or promoted Tier 9 French light tank, going from Tier 8 to Tier 9. We're in a game of Brokrovka, top tier I may add, and ideally it's just a case of seeing how this tank plays. I had my reservations about the tank in general. I didn't particularly like it at Tier 8, the gun handling skills of it were lacking somewhat, and certainly when you find yourself in Tier 10 games, which you did on a regular basis, it wasn't as good as other light tanks, and as is the case with many light tanks themselves, they are outclassed by many mediums, but that's irrelevant to the point. I just didn't particularly like it, and it was putting me off going towards the back chat. Now that it's moved to Tier 9, there are a lot of good things that it has. It still retains its characteristics of poor aim time and accuracy, which, having said that, the actual damage output you get and standard APCR ammunition now on the Tier 9 variant, all well and good. I can quite happily have terrible accuracy where if I don't truly aim in properly, like if I'm trying to snipe this Freedom and I decide that I'm going to shoot now and I'll miss and shoot again and I'll miss, then I'm quite happy to take the fact that, well, everything else on the tank is actually really quite good. I am being a bit flattered in this game because I am top tier, but even that being the case, the other team aren't particularly forthcoming in actually going over the top or even around the side of the map as well on the hill. But I digress. This is the AMX 1390 and we'll have a look into it. The tank has had a fair amount of buff, and I say buff in regards to ammunition. A lot of the tank aspects for their view range are pretty much similar to a lot of Tier 9 tanks. They tend to all be saying bar the gun. We're moving on up to what is effectively 200mm of penetration on the standard ammunition. It maxes out about 256, still amazingly good, and you can imagine in a top tier game in Tier 9 when you're coming across things like Tigers, Tiger 1s for example, or even tanks that are Tier 8 medium tanks, you're still going to be able to go through them with a lot of ease. It's not something that you bounce on a regular basis unless you're like me and you can't aim. But that's only really when I'm trying to snapshot onto people or take people out as quickly as possible, and that'll be evident later on in the game. The premium ammunition will be around about 220mm of penetration, maybe a bit higher. It maxes out about 310. Still with your 220 alpha, maxed out about 300, with your high explosive between 240 and 400 damage, up to 56mm of penetration as low as 34. With it being an auto loader though, it's not really something I'd find myself firing HE, hence the reason why I don't carry any within the tank itself. Just not something I would need to. I don't need the extra. Whilst it's 100 damage, there's only a limited amount of tanks I can physically do that to, and it's not something I'm really interested in. The tank, when it is fully upgraded, is a 470 horsepower tank, and it'll go 64 kilometers an hour. Still extremely fast. Unfortunately, the reverse speed isn't amazing, but then again, not a lot of the light tanks really have the ability to really turn the turret when they're in auto load, and they can dump a shitload into people, but it's still going to be useful to get around. You take advantage of the speed, so if you're on a city map, I played on Berlin earlier, being able to go in and out of the buildings, circling around tanks when you know you've got the opportunity to, that's still available to you, is still really good for that. Your hull armour, well, it's French, it's not your typical slanting armour. It can bounce. I've yet to see me actually bounce a big dirty shell, because it doesn't. But you've got to be careful of people with HE shells. Your 50mm of frontal armour isn't going to do a massive amount. The top of the range gun is, as by definition of the tank, a 90mm. It's, I can't remember with regards to the Tier 8, but it is pretty much exactly the same in the gun handling statistics if you physically play it. So you will notice is very, very similar. One thing you will see, the standard APCR, when you're firing it, you'll do a lot more. I can probably say that people will enjoy this a lot more than they did at Tier 8, just on my own personal preference as well. The view range for the tank, 380 meters, not including any equipment that you may have on the tank, or perks, or crew skills, etc. Overall though, still relatively useful even at Tier 9, a lot better in my opinion than the Tier 8 version, but then I'm biased. And it took me ages to get the amount of XP I did, and now I have to go back again, because reasons. But anyways, we're back in the game. We're already up to 5 kills. Dropping people left, right and centre. Again, the autoloader gives the opportunity of taking people out low health, which, if you are playing an autoloader, would be the best thing to do. But if you are going to try and shoot people, make sure you aim, because like that, you will miss. taking out the 6th kill, the T-49. Got very lucky the fact that he did hurt me with a HE and didn't actually kill me. So, you know, things can change. The map has been overrun by our team. It's going to be one that's going to be relatively easy to win, and from the start was going to be the case. No one really up on the other side, and their team didn't really push forward. So that was the flattering aspect of it. Really good reload on the tank when you actually find yourself using all the ammunition as I did. I believe I have, if I have a look at my equipment, improved vents, gun lane drive, and coated optics. So even with that, a 22-second round for, if I work it out, around about 900 potential damage, if I average about 220 per shot. So it's got its potential. Certainly in this game it was a little bit easier than what I found in other ones. Just so much stuff I could shoot without the worry of bouncing, providing I actually aimed correctly. So it's still got the characteristics of not being able to aim properly, but at the same time, the buffs that it's got from moving from tier 8 to tier 9 help it without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm looking forward to getting the 105. I do want to see how that reacts. Well, I've seen people on the forums, and I'm getting the impression it's similar to the M53-55, moving on to the T92, where you keep the tier 9, not go for the tier 10. So we'll have a look into that. Hope you enjoyed the video. It wasn't the best one that you'd ever see, but it was one that gives an idea of how it can play, certainly top tier, which you will find yourself doing on a regular basis. That is another really, like, it reminds me of the AMX Chaffee when that first came out, and I just got like tier 6 games top tier or tier 7s, just ran amok on people. So it feels very much similar to that, and I'm enjoying myself a lot more than I did before. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful people later.